Hello, this is Ron Clymer at Clymer School of Real Estate in Orlando, Florida. And you know, if somebody told me, Ron, I want to be successful, but I want to learn to be successful from just one book. If you could recommend to me one book, and just that one book, what would it be? Well, you know what? I know the answer to that question. And I believe if you ask 100 successful people that question, I think about half of them would recommend the book that I'm going to recommend. If I could only read one book, it would be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, this book was published back in the 30s. Now, when Napoleon Hill was a young man, he somehow managed to meet Andrew Carnegie. Now, Andrew Carnegie at that time was one of the richest men in America. And Andrew Carnegie, because of his wealth and his position, introduced Napoleon Hill to, well, his peers, all the movers and shakers of his day, the Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Woodrow Wilson, the President of the United States, Charles Schwab, John D. Rockefeller, and 100 other billionaires. And Napoleon Hill had an opportunity to sit and interview these people and ask them questions that I think any of us would love to ask these successful people. Well, he put together what he called the philosophy of success. And by the 30s, he had published Think and Grow Rich. And Think and Grow Rich is a description of, he boiled this down to 17 principles. And the first one is definiteness of purpose. Hill says, and you know he's right, if you're going to be successful, you got to get rifle barrel focused on what you want to do. You got to decide, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And as you do that, you start to find ideas that will help you. And there's just a ton of advantages to having a definite major purpose. One of them is you learn self-reliance. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote a whole half a book about self-reliance. But if you're going to be successful, you got to understand nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody cares whether you're successful or not. Not your boss, not even close friends and family. It's up to you. You got to rely on yourself. And when you get definiteness of purpose, this seems to become more aware to you. Now, also, definiteness of purpose will teach you personal initiative. You know, we talked in the previous tape about personal initiative, but you got to get out of bed. You got to make that call. You got to do whatever it is to lead you where you want to go. Now, definiteness of purpose stimulates your imagination. You know, I talked in the previous tape about getting up every morning, starting your day by stimulating your imagination, but that might be hard to do until you get rifle barrel focused on achieving some sort of goal. Definiteness of purpose creates enthusiasm. Once again, I talked about enthusiasm, and sometimes it's hard to muster up a little enthusiasm. Not when you're rifle barrel focused on what you want to do. Also, it creates self-discipline. And you're not going to be super successful without self-discipline. If you can't bring yourself to make the calls, do whatever it is you need to do, you're just not going to be successful. And also, it helps you concentrate your efforts. One of the problems a lot of young people have, and well, I guess older people too, is they scatter their efforts. They got efforts here, effort that, they're doing this, they're doing that, and you need to get rifle barrel focused on, I'm going to be successful. Now, a second advantage, it helps you specialize. You know, at Clymer School of Real Estate, Ron Clymer I am specialized on helping people pass the Florida real estate exam. I don't do much sales training. I don't do much of that. I just pass the Florida real estate exam. That's what we're about. We're not about passing the California exam, just the Florida real estate exam. I believe the more specialized you are, the easier it is to excel. Now, another advantage, you learn to budget your time and your money. You can't be wasting time, you can't be wasting money when you're rifle barrel focused heading down the road. And that's a big advantage of having a definite major purpose. Also, it alerts you to opportunities. You know, there's an old cliche that opportunity knocks on the door. And it does knock on the door, but it doesn't kick the door down. You've got to be alert when opportunity comes along and somebody says, hey, you could do this. Well, that's exactly what I need to do to reach my major purpose in life. And so that's a big advantage. Now, another advantage is it develops the capacity to reach decisions. When you're rifle barrel focused on what you want to do, making decisions is much easier. By the way, if you read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, you will come to believe, as I believe, that successful people make decisions quickly. By the way, if you don't make decisions quickly, why don't you start doing that? Next time a decision comes up, you get all the facts and decide. I'll think about it and let you know in a couple of days. That's not the right answer. I've got the facts, here's my decision. Successful people make decisions promptly. When it's time to make them, they make them. Now, another thing, when you've got a major purpose, it stimulates the cooperation of other people. Now, by the way, Napoleon Hill talks a lot about getting other people to help you do what you want to do, and the way you do that is by helping them do what they want to do. But that's a big advantage, and being rifle barrel focused helps you with that. Now, and another thing that it does, it helps you have faith. You know, this is not a religious thing, but you gotta have faith. You gotta know that there's a higher power, and you gotta have faith in that higher power. And when you're rifle barrel focused on what you're trying to do, you have an easier time having faith. And so those are the things that it does. Now, I couldn't finish this today without talking to you just a minute about money. If your definite major purpose is to make money, there is nothing to be ashamed of about that. Everybody that writes books about success talks about money. Earl Nightingale talks about money. Napoleon Hill talks about money. Anybody I've ever read talks about money, because money, you might say, is the thermometer, the barometer of success. And not only that, but money is necessary in today's world. You can't get along without money. You can't go to college without money. You can't run your business without money. You can't buy shoes for your kids without money. You need money, and there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. So if your major goal is to have money, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, here's what I want you to do. Write out your definite major purpose. Get yourself a plan. Now, if your plan is selling real estate, you don't have a license yet, there'd be a good place to start right there. But and by the way, what a great opportunity selling real estate is. You know, if your goal is to make money and you don't really have a plan, man, you go talk to a couple of realtors and ask them if selling real estate's a good plan. There's a lot of people got rich selling real estate. Now, also, you got to know this. If you're going to get yourself a plan, I hope that plan doesn't include anybody getting a free lunch. Because I can tell you this for sure, folks, there ain't no free lunch. You're going to be successful, you're going to pay a price for that. You're going to pay a price, and the more successful you are, the bigger price you're going to have to pay. So don't think you're going to come up with a plan that's going to put you on easy street. It's not going to happen. There's no such reality as something for nothing. But there is a reality of exchanging what I know for what I need. And so get yourself a plan. Make your plan flexible, because trust me, it won't work out the way you thought. But Napoleon Hill said all throughout his book, whatever the mind of man can conceive, it can achieve. So if you can't conceive it, well, you can't achieve it. But if you can conceive it, you will achieve it if you get a plan, get the show on the road. If we can help you at Clymer School of Real Estate, 407-822-3926. Visualize yourself successful, and remind me, we'll talk more about visualization later.